Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's debates, at their core, are not about abortion pills or gender assignment policies, though many Texans will certainly feel the painful consequences of these laws. They are about an emerging form of governance that Republicans in this state are unleashing to regulate people's behavior. They are about the decision to outsource enforcement, to deputize citizens into a surveillance economy, and to turn courts into instruments of social control. They are about building a private bounty system that pits people against each other. They are about teaching Texans to watch each other, report each other, and profit from each other's pain. My colleagues who are advancing this bill want you to believe it's about protecting women and protecting children, because they can't sell what it actually does. It's a form of government-sanctioned surveillance of people's behavior. State power without fingerprints. Government policy carried out by the hands of ordinary people pointed at other ordinary people for cash rewards. This is what unchecked power looks like, with government expanding into the most private corners of life, using citizens as tools of enforcement, and weaponizing courts to police personal decisions and conduct. This bill is another blueprint. It bans conduct not through normal process of state enforcement, but by deputizing private citizens to sue. It sets penalties so severe that the threat of financial ruin alone will silence opposition. Let's speak plainly about the cruelty this bill unleashes. Consider a case of rape. Republicans will tell you that under this bill, a woman herself cannot be sued for receiving an abortion pill. But here's the ugliness. In cases of rape, her perpetrator's family can profit from that crime and from her trauma. His father, his siblings, his grandparents. As if the woman who was violated has no standing in her own life, but the rapist's relatives can walk into a courtroom and collect a check for $100,000. In addition, this bill gives those family members 6 years to do it. 6 years to drag her doctor, her counselor, or her friend into court. But under current Texas law, if a woman is raped, she only has 5 years to sue her attacker. Think about that. This bill gives more time to enforce control over her body than she has to hold her rapist accountable. That is the cruelty and insanity of Republicanism in 2025. And it doesn't stop there. Male abusers, so long as they don't have a formal conviction on their record, will also be allowed to profit off their partner's pain and trauma if she receives an abortion pill. Most abuse is never reported, never charged, and never adjudicated. Those men are not barred and can also collect a check up to $100,000. Those men, those abusers, would still have the power to weaponize this law against their victims' doctors, their victims' friends. Republicans are preparing to hand abusive partners a new legal weapon to use against the women in Texas. This bill is sick and twisted. If you continue to normalize this form of governance, it will not stop here. By weaponizing governmental institutions in Texas, you are writing the big government playbook that will be used against people's rights and freedoms in other states. Because of what Republicans have pioneered here, California has already borrowed your model to target gun owners. Ask yourself this: if you wouldn't trust Democrats to wield this power to police people's conduct, then why would you hand that power to government at all? Everyone in Texas ought to speak with one voice about this. Every industry that depends on predictable rules and interstate commerce, every house of worship that believes in conscience, every citizen who understands that once this tool exists, no value you hold dear will be safe from it. Because this mechanism is portable. Today, it's used against a practice you oppose. Tomorrow it will be used against a freedom you cherish. Let me show you how easily this spreads. THC in hemp products. Instead of relying on regulators and prosecutors, this legislature can give private citizens the right to sue manufacturers, distributors, and retailers with tens of thousands in fines and freeze the market. Immigration. Republicans can deputize citizens to sue landlords who rent to the undocumented, charities that provide transportation, churches that offer shelter. It will be a police state on steroids. Guns. Imagine Democrats writing a law that allows lawsuits against parents who fail to lock up firearms, giving any neighbor, coworker, or family member the right to sue. IVF and fertility treatments. Imagine a state empowering private citizens to sue doctors, clinics, or even parents over embryos created through IVF. Instead of protecting families, the bounty model could be used to intimidate and shut down fertility care, dragging private family decisions into the courthouse. Prostitution or criminal conduct. Imagine a state decriminalizing offenses it wants to police and converting them to private civil bounties that sidestep due process protections.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Tinderholt, for what purpose?
Are we doing a list of things that he doesn't like that Republicans do? I'd like him to stay on the bill. This is getting a little ridiculous. He's discussing everything.
Mr. Tinderholt, you're not recognized at this time. That is not a proper parliamentary inquiry. The members are, please confine your remarks to the bill at hand.
Neighbors could sue neighbors for allegation that will never see a jury, decided not on proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but on the much lower threshold of preponderance of the evidence. These aren't exaggerations. Some are already happening. Because of what Republicans in this chamber, in this legislature, and in this state have set into motion with this very law and laws just like them, other states are copying it. That is the politics of division you are accelerating. 50 states deputizing their citizens to punish the other side's behavior. A few weeks ago, a Republican member in this chamber was asked on national television why Republicans are redrawing maps in the middle of the decade with no new census data.
The gentleman will confine his remarks to the bill before the House.
I'm getting to, all of these remarks are confined to this very bill. The answer was, because we can. That is what raw power, divorced from principle, looks like. That answer wasn't about maps, it's about power. Once the government accepts because we can as the guiding principle, there is no limit to where it can be applied. Members, this is what happens after 30 years of one-party rule. Checks and balances disappear. The answer, because we can, starts to feel normal, even righteous. This is exactly what Thomas Jefferson meant when he said that the natural progress of things is for liberty to yield and government to gain ground. Republicans in this state and across this nation need to wake up to what is happening here, precisely with this law. This bill isn't protecting anyone. It's hurting all of us. And the people pushing it must also be held accountable. And that accountability starts at the ballot box. Vote no against this insane bill.